So in this video, now that we have a rooted device, we're going to see if we can pull any interesting data out of the storage of our phone related to this app. So I've gone ahead and installed the app on my rooted device, and I've just logged in with a valid user. And in general, you can just sort of play around with the app, make sure data is getting generated, and then we're going to get into the shell and take a look at where it might be stored and what might be getting stored in general. So just to demonstrate, I can log in as a valid user, I can maybe hop into transfer, I can hop into view statements, just sort of play around with the different things that exist and see if anything is getting stored that shouldn't be. So at this point, I'll just go ahead and shell into the device. So again, doing so, I can use adb shell. I'm going to cd into data and then cd into data again. So we go down 2 directories into data. Inside of here, we'll be able to cd into the storage for this specific app, which is com.android.insecurebank v2. So just like this. Once we cd into this, we can press ls. You'll see that I get permission denied. So in order to get that data, I have to use my super user privileges. So I press su, and then I can do ls, and I'll be able to see all of the data. As you can see, a lot of things generate here, and the main thing that I'm interested in is shared prefs, because that's one of the main areas where we're going to be saving data. It's either in there or in the databases. Since this transfers data to an HTTP server, I would assume that all of the logins or everything are probably saved on the server rather than being saved locally. We could take a look at the databases, but it's probably not going to yield us anything related to logins or anything like that. But in general, it's still probably an okay place to look, and we'll take a look at that in a future video as well. But for now, we'll focus on shared prefs and take a look at what we might be able to find inside of there. So you'll see inside of here, we have a few XML values here. So let's take a look at some of them. I'm going to take a look at my shared preferences.xml. So I just cat it. And as you can see, we get this interesting encrypted username and super secure password. Now, at first glance, you would say, well, this is encrypted, so it's probably stored properly, and we don't really have to worry about that. But as a skeptical person, I would say encryption is typically a really good place to look for vulnerabilities because cryptography is hard. It's not particularly easy to get right. And if you put developers on it who don't know about cryptography, it's very easy to slip up and make mistakes, like using a bad cipher or hard coding keys or potentially rolling your own crypto. Any of those sort of ideas are going to cause vulnerability. So if we see encrypted data, we should try to get an understanding of how that data is being encrypted. So let's turn over to our source code and see if we might be able to figure that out. Now, of course, here everything's very easily labeled, right? We see crypto class, that's probably the class where all the cryptography is happening. So we'll take that and let's see. When we're taking a look at this code, what we're looking for is the same things that I was discussing before, like weak encryption, any hard-coded keys, anything like that. And we can see right here, string key equals this. That stands out to me and says, well, this is a hard-coded key, and I know the value of the key. If I know the value of the key and it's hard-coded, I'm going to be able to decrypt it myself. We can verify this by taking a look at where this key is actually used. We can see it's used right here to decrypt strings as well as encrypt strings. So if we were particularly motivated, we could go ahead and write our own Android application that takes in an input and runs this decrypt function and then tries to decrypt the strings that we have stored there. Since we know the key, there's no security anymore. The only security in cryptography exists in the key. The algorithm is not where the security lies, it's all in the key. If you can see the key in plain text or in any way in the code, you have a vulnerability because it's easy to take the key and decrypt things. And yeah, in general, that's a fairly trivial vulnerability, right? So it's very easy to do that. If you ever see encrypted data, you should figure out how that data is encrypted. Try to see if you can find the key stored in an insecure way. And if you can, then like this, you'll be able to encrypt and decrypt data from the application. So this is one type of vulnerability that we can find in insecure data storage. And in the next few videos, we'll take a look at a few other things that we might potentially be able to exploit.